which word repeats itself?
To be honest, it was kind of hard to hear the words clearly.
That's right. That's right. It was a bit hard, but the text is in front of you on the left-hand side, B'motzei Menucha, on page 1. There is one very good, Lishmoa, to hear. So in this prayer, so we ask Hashem to hear our cry and our prayer. And this is being repeated
This is what we said
10 times.
Right?
That's right. The first night over your slichot, there's a different tunes to it. So perhaps over here they sang it to a different tune altogether. I remember when I used to study in a Yekel Biavne, there was a very special chazan called the Rav Raphael Pozan, Zatzal, of a blessed memory. He used to sing this prayer in a very special tune. I tried it to bring it tonight, but I was unable to do so because it was just a part of a long recording. But this is also a nice tune. But as you said, the word lishmot, to hear, it repeats itself. And I'm going to suggest that it is not only that we are asking Hashem to hear a cry and a prayer, but we are also asking, awaking in ourselves the art of listening. So we started during the slichot, and the peak is during a Rosh HaShanah. How is Rosh HaShanah connected to with listening?
Shofar.
That's right. That the mitzvah of the day is to hear the shofar. We are going to talk about that later. But let's just turn to the top of page 2. This is something interesting. Chazal teaches us that on Rosh Hashanah many things happened. Who wants to read the first source in Rosh Hashanah? 10b, source number 1.
I'll read it. It is said in Baraita that the Tana and disagreed about this point. Rabbi Elazar says in Tishrei the world was created, in Tishrei the patriarchs were born, in Tishrei the patriarchs died. On Passover Isaac was born, on Rosh Hashanah Sarah, Rachel, and Hannah were remembered by Hashem and conceived. On Rosh Hashanah Yosef came out from prison.
Okay, thank you. So I could see a connection to Rosh Hashanah concerning everything except one. What doesn't seem connected to Rosh Hashanah? Which event it doesn't seem connected?
Yosef.
That's right. We could understand that the Sarah, Rachel, and Hannah were remembered because the Rosh Hashanah is also called Yom Zichron Teshuvah. There's a Zichronot, right? In the Musaf, and we read about in the Haftarah that a Hannah was remembered, and also a Sarah, right? It is obvious why the world would be created. This event is connected to Rosh Hashanah, Hayom Harat Olam. which the truth is, it is a separate issue altogether, because of the world was created really on a cafe of Elul, not on Rosh Hashanah. Who was created on Rosh Hashanah? Adam Rishon, that's right. So what does it say? Hayom Harat Olam, today the world was created. The answer is, but man can create worlds with his actions. It is up to a man to determine. The truth is that man can destroy the world. In one moment, you will know that the President of the United States walks around with a football and a biscuit. What does that mean? The football is a code name for a special suitcase. That inside there's the ability to destroy the whole world with nuclear weapons. Everywhere where he goes, if you receive if the President of the United States, there's a special guard holding a suitcase called the football. It weighs like 20 kilos or something. And the biscuit is a special card that he keeps in his pocket that has the code to activate the nuclear weapon. So a man can destroy the world in one moment. But a man could also create worlds. But it is a bit difficult to understand, as Ben pointed out, what is the connection between Yosef and Rosh Hashanah. Does anyone have any idea?
Yosef is being judged in front of the Pharaoh.
Okay, being a judge, but he was let out of a prison.
Well,
That's a possibility.
I think we have an idea that what your Mazel is going to be each year is determined by Hashem each year on Rosh Hashanah. And this is the new year. This is new beginning. New fortune, new Goral. And this time he's free. And
that's a good point.
Rosh Hashanah is the holiday listening. And I mean, obviously it was Hashem that freed Yosef from prison. But you can also say it was him hearing and interpreting the dreams that came from prison.
That's right, Natan. We're going to talk about the dreams in a moment. Yeah.
It's also Hashem's listening to Yosef's prayers. Like, it's not one directional listening. It's also Hashem listens to us in the sense that he has to judge us. Or doesn't have to, but he does. So.
That's right. That's a good point. So, who wants to read a source 2? Here there's a bit of explanation.
I'll go for it. It was further taught in Brisa. On Rosh Hashanah, Yosef came out of prison. The Gemara asks, from where do we derive this? As it's written, sounds a shofar at the new moon, at the covered time of our festival day. For this is a statute for Israel, a judgment of the God of Jacob. This is a reference to Rosh Hashanah, the only festival that occurs at the time of the new moon, when the moon is covered and cannot be seen.
Okay, so we're going to try and understand the deeper explanation to the connection between Yosef and Rosh Hashanah. So the Talmud is talking about the shofar, right? And also at the time of a covered time of a festival. Okay, so let's say you keep this on the side in the meantime, and we'll come back to this. Okay, so First, I'm going to offer a simple explanation by the Rabbi of Gur, Rabbi Yitzchak Meir, Alter, the Rabbi of Gur, who lived 200 years ago, and he explains that a release from a prison is a new beginning. It is a huge change, and especially when we are talking about Yosef, he from that period onwards, he had greatness a thrust upon him, as a Shakespeare says, that some people are born great, others they achieve greatness, and others they have greatness thrust upon them. So in this way, a Rosh Hashanah is a new beginning and a new way he changed in our lives. So Chazal hint to us that we must be free of whatever prevents us from advancing forward to create a change in our lives. So this is one explanation, but let's go deeper. I would like to ask, how did Yosef reach a greatness, that he became a viceroy of a pharaoh? What did he do in order to achieve this?
He saved the country and the world, the known world at the time, from starvation.
That is true, that he saved the world?
Well, to be free, all he did was he interpreted a dream.
Okay, very good. He interpreted dreams. Let's go on a little excursion about this. I would like you, please, whoever is prepared to read source 3 on a page 2. Okay, and then we are going to compare it to a source 4. Okay?
Okay, to read it?
Yeah.
We go for it. ויחלום יוסף חלום ויגיד לאחיו והוסיפו עוד שנוא אותו.
Like the snow.
Yeah. Yosef had a dream and told his brothers, and they continued to hate him. ויאמר אליהם שמעו נא החלום הזה אשר חלמתי. Okay, he said to them, listen now to this dream that I dreamt. והנה אנחנו מעלמים עלומים בתוך השדה, והנה כמה אלומתי וגם ניצבה, והנה תסובנה אלומתיכם ותשתחווינה לאלומתי. Behold, we were biting sheaves in the midst of the field, and behold, my sheaf arose and also stood upright, and behold, all your sheaves encircled it and prostrated themselves to my sheaf. Okay. ויאמר לאחיו המלוך תמוך עלינו אם תמשל בנו יוסיפו עוד שנוא אותו על חלומותיו וגמוריו. His brothers said, will you reign over us or will you govern us? And they continued further to hate him on account of his dreams and account of his words.
Okay, so it's possible to skip the rest, but thank you very much. Now, let's say you compare this. This is about Yosef telling his dreams, okay? Let's say you compare it to a source 4. Who wants to read source 4?
I can read. Now it came out after these events that the cupbearer of the king of Egypt and the baker sinned against their master, against the king of Egypt. And Pharaoh became incensed at his two chamberlains, at the chief cupbearer and at the chief baker. And he placed them in the prison of the house of the chief of the slaughterers into the prison, the place where Joseph was imprisoned. And the chief of the slaughterers appointed Joseph to be with them. And he served them, and they were a year in a prison. Now both of them dreamed a dream, each one his dream on the same night, each man according to the interpretation of his dream, the cupbearer and the baker of the king of Egypt, who were confined in the prison. And Joseph came to them in the morning, and he saw them, and behold, they were troubled. And he asked Pharaoh's chamberlains who were with him in the prison of his master's house, saying, Why are your faces sad today? And they said to him, We have dreamed a dream, and there is no interpreter for it. Joseph said to them, Don't interpretations belong to God? Tell them to me now.
Okay, thank you. So, what is the big difference between source 3 and source 4?
Yosef went from being the dreamer to the interpreter.
That's right.
Yeah.
So in source 3, Yosef was telling his dreams, right? And in source 4, he was listening to others tell their dreams. So Rabbi Shlomo Riskin of Efrat said a beautiful explanation. Who wants to read source 6?
6 or 5?
6.
Rabbi Shlomo Riskin, commentary on the book of Bereshit. The favored and beloved Yosef is doomed to begin his downfall descent because, although he dreamed grand dreams, he is totally self-absorbed. His sole interest lies in communicating his dreams and self-aggrandizement to others. In the beginning of Miketz, Yosef is listening to the dreams of others and using them to help others. Once one begins listening to other people's dreams, one is ready to ascend upwards and achieve true leadership.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's right.
I've never heard it in that.
Well, I mean, I guess the question is, right?
Right? It's like, is he gonna Michelle, or is he gonna what's it called? Like Imloch? Like, is he going to be like a king, or is he gonna like be the explainer and the guide? You know, and he doesn't know, I guess.
Right. So when Yosef listened only to his dreams, so he was unable to advance forward, and he had greatness taken from him. However, at the moment that Yosef started to listen to the dreams of others, he had greatness thrust upon him. So listening is actually the key to a new beginning. So that is why I am suggesting that a Chazal decided to link together Rosh Hashanah and the story of Yosef, because on Rosh Hashanah we have to not only tell our own dreams, but we have to make space to listen to other people's dreams and help them materialize their own dreams. So when we listen, there's the possibility of a change and greatness. So this is perhaps the explanation, and I might add something else. This is connected to the shofar that a Chazal say, because if you will look at the verse that a Chazal bring at the source 2, page 2, sound a shofar at the new moon at the covered time for a festival day. This is a statue for Israel, a judgment of the God of Jacob. So this is the pasuk that a Chazal bring to prove that there is a connection between Yosef and Rosh Hashanah, So regarding the shofar, we are going to talk about it momentarily, but about the a new moon, when it is covered and it is not seen. This is perhaps a dream that is covered. It is still hiding, and we have to be able to help others by listening to them, that they could tell us their dreams, and then we could help them materialize it. So let's talk about the shofar now. Okay. So what is the blessing that the shofar blower, the Baal Tokea, he says when right before he blows the shofar? That's right, Lishma Kol Shofar. So look please at the source 7. It says to hear the sound of a shofar. So what would you have thought the right blessing for a shofar blower to say instead of this?
To blow the shofar.
That's right, to blow the shofar. Because this is when we perform a mitzvah, right?
It's not like a lulav where we're saying, the mitzvah is to shake the lulav, and there's no secondary action or secondary consequence of shaking the lulav. You say the bracha, you shake the lulav, and that's it. But when you blow, it's like expecting to play a guitar and no sound to come out. If you're going to blow a horn, a noise is going to come out. The idea isn't to blow the horn. The blowing of the horn is to create the sound, but the idea is to hear the sound. So it makes sense that the bracha isn't to blow. It makes sense.
That's right. This is exactly what the Maimonides says. The Maimonides says, he dealt with this question, and he said that the mitzvah is hearing the shofar, not blowing the shofar. We only blow the shofar in order that it would be heard. So this is exactly what the Maimonides said. So obviously the Maimonides was talking about the halacha connected the shofar blowing. However, we're going to add that there is also an educational aspect to this, that we do not only wish to be heard, but the question is, if we only wish to be heard, or are we also prepared to hear the call of others? Are we able to listen? So Maimonides says, hints to us that perhaps this is the secret of the shofar. So we specifically say to hear the sound of a shofar, because of the shofar reminds us that although it is necessary to let ourselves be heard, but it is also important to know how to hear others, and to break free of our agendas and allow ourselves to open up and listen to other voices. And actually, the powerful wisdom is the ability to listen to others. As it says in the Pirkei Avot, who is wise? He who learns from every person. As it is stated in a Tehillim, that מכל מלמדי השכלתי, that I am able to listen from and to learn from all of my teachers. So, if you look at source 8, we could see something very important. Who wants to read source 8?
Rabbi Abba said that Shmuel said, for 3 years Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel disagreed. He said the halakha is in accordance with our opinion, and this said the halakha is in accordance with our opinion. Ultimately, a divine voice emerged and proclaimed, both these and those are the words of the living Elohim. However, the halakha is in accordance with the opinion of Beit Hillel. The Gemara asks, since both of these and those are the words of the living Hashem, why were Beit Hillel privileged to have the halakha established in accordance with their opinion? The reason is that they were agreeable and forbearing, showing restraint when affronted. And when they taught the halakha, they would teach both their own statements and the statements of Beit Shammai. Moreover, when they formulated their teaching and settled the dispute, they prioritized the statements of Beit Shammai to their own statements, in difference to Beit Shammai.
Thank you. So, why was a halacha according to Beit Hillel and not according to Beit Shammai? What advantage did the Beit Hillel have?
You listen.
That's right. They listened. When they were stating their teachings, they first explained the view of a Beit Shammai, their opponents, and then only then, after that, they explained their view. So I would like to ask you a question. It is obviously that they had good manners, but is the halacha according to those who have good manners? We are talking about truth, right? So why was the halacha specifically according to Beit Hillel?
Well, it's like what we said in source 8, right? Where both of their halachic rulings, it's not as if one was more correct than the other. They were both equally valid versions of halacha that had been passed down, sought out, and really worked on and developed. They weren't just, I'm going to guess that it's like this, and he's going to guess it's like that.
That's right.
They both knew what they were talking about, but the difference is that on top of Derech Eretz Kan Torah, that Hillel had both, whereas Shammai had. I'm not saying that Shammai didn't have Derech Eretz, but clearly Beis Hillel was a step ahead in that regard, and so whereas the scales would normally have been even in Torah learning, the Derech Eretz tipped the scale.
So it is obviously true that they had a Derech Eretz. So this is what the Talmud says, because they were agreeable and forbearing. So this is obviously a Derech Eretz, as you said. The Chatam Sofer presents another explanation, and he says that they actually studied the view of a Beit Shammai. They really tried to understand. They really tried to listen, and because they studied the views of the opponents, they were able to reach a complete truth. Because they didn't only focus on their agenda, their tradition, they really tried to understand the other side. And when you spend time and effort to understand your opponent's views, and you really try and find the grain of truth, and then after that you decide what you decide, you are prepared to accept their view, but you then decide that you weigh up both sides, and when you decide which view is correct, you have got a greater chance to reach the truth. And that is why the halacha is according to Beit Hillel. So to summarize what we studied today, we started off by saying of the beautiful prayer, that the words, hear our cry and our prayer, repeats itself 10 times. 10 times. This is in order to awaken inside of us the art of listening. This is your first prayer of a slichot, and the peak is during a Rosh Hashanah when we don't only blow the shofar, we actually listen to the shofar. We hear the shofar, and this is you teach us that it is important to express our views, but it is also important to create space for others, not only to be heard, but also to hear others. And then we ask the question, what is the connection between Rosh Hashanah and Yosef? And the answer that Rabbi Riskin gave, it is because that Yosef was able to change. Instead of just focusing on telling others his dreams, he created space to listen to other people's dreams. And when you listen to others, you have greatness thrust upon you. So I would like to wish everyone a ktiva v'chatima tova and a shana tova umetuka.
Shana Tova.
Not- wow,